Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. Look what we have in our shop. We finally got one. I've been wanting to service one of these for years, but I never ran across one. So this is Bally's 70s model Playboy pinball machine. We had a gentleman contact us wanting to know if we could work on it for him. We told him we would. And whenever he dropped it off, he was a real cool guy. Just an interesting guy. And he said that back in the day he used to be a professional wrestler, and his nickname was Playboy when he was a professional wrestler. So he picked up this game, but it's never worked right, so he wants me to go through it and fix it up. So that's what we're going to do for the Playboy. So I'm going to drag it out of that corner over there and get that back box off the top of it so that we can look at it a little closer and go ahead and set it up and just see what it's doing, what it needs, and get it back doing its thing. Okay, so Joey got it up on its feet for us, and we'll give it a little look over and see what she'll do. The bottom of the cabinet is in a little bit better shape than the top of the cabinet. We'll see if the serial numbers match. It's it just looks cool. It's a nicely designed art package. Okay, yeah, so it's actually this side. So if you look at the right side, you see this from time to time. This side, the bottom, and we're looking at the color of the pink, right, and the top are very similar. But if you go around to the other side, both of them are faded. So obviously it's going to be the same cabinet. But this side was probably near a window or something, and so as the sun came in, it faded it all. So our number here is, the E stands for electronic, Playboy, 14030. That's how I'm reading it. And then down here, EPB 14030. Yeah, so this is the same, obviously the same two pieces. I wonder, is that like touch-up paint? Somebody might have touched it up back before it faded, and then that was the only, maybe that was the only place that needed touch-up paint. Because it's the same thing there. Other than how this side's faded, the other side's in pretty decent shape. Okay, so it's got a nice pink apron, they call that, And the front looks pretty good. Those are keys. Maybe it's supposed to be like a key to the Playboy Mansion or something. It's got interesting colors. It's pink, but then there's like a aqua blue. This was 1978. I can't help but think about Future Spa. We did a video on Future Spa, or a couple videos on Future Spa. I always liked that game. I just thought it was cool, but it's a wide body and it's got a lot more going on than this one. All right, so we're going to show some of the artwork close up, folks. So if any of you don't like that, I have to wonder why you're watching this video, but I'm just telling you ahead of time. It's not all, there's really nothing out of line on it, but it's PG. It's PG. All right, so I'm going to touch this up a little bit whenever we get to that point because it's just the geometric stuff that's right here. It'll be pretty easy to touch that up and make it look a lot better. You know, if the problem was skin tone or something, it would be much harder to match because it's just, you're going to immediately see it because that's what you're looking at on the playfield. But if it's like a geometric shape, if this is a slightly different yellow than this is, you're not even going to notice it. You're going to be looking at other things. So we've got, she's wearing some kind of necklace or something. What is that supposed to say? We need to see who the artist was on this. Let's see here. Oh, it's Paul Faris on the backglass at least. Who I believe is the same guy that actually did Future Spa. Okay. Playboy, the rabbit head design, Playmate, Feminine design, Granny, Little Annie Fanny, Key with the rabbit head design, are properties and used with permission of Playboy, 1978 Playboy. So the feminine design, I wonder if that's like just this generic kind of look. I wonder if that's, I'm trying to see if I can see anything else that would, yeah. So see, you've got this character here, and then the character's also on the back glass. That's kind of a strange one. We'll have to look closer at that here in a second. And then the key must have been a thing at the time. Maybe it's supposed to be a key to a room at the Playboy Mansion or something. Oh yeah, it's kind of the theme of the game. Look, there's some up there too. So that's cool. All right, so you got her, you've got this chick here. Wouldn't it be horrible to have one of these and the playfield was all worn away? And then you've got two of the, I don't know, I never watched the Playboy Club or whatever. Wasn't there a TV show for a while? I think that's what this is from. Like the servers or whatever. Wearing their little costumes. Their little outfits. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and there's a... I guess that's supposed to be Hugh. So this is mirrored on each side of the pop bumpers. It takes steel balls to play pinball. And then this says Playboy Grotto. A little wear there. Where it kicks it back up. There's some game that has that in that same spot that I've done before. I can't remember. Maybe that's a popular thing where the ball stops up there and then shoots back out. So that's all of the interesting art on the playfield. but we have this crazy backglass. This iconic backglass. So this girl is that girl for sure. And then this girl is that girl for sure. And there's Hugh Hefner with his cigar. Paul Faris. Oh, here's the keys again. That's kind of cool. And then you've got these little green and blue kind of design. What do they call it? Those are on clocks too. What do they call those on clocks? Star. I can't remember. All right, so I'm trying to figure out why this woman is in a trash can. What's that all about? So there's a... Oh, that's not a trash can. It's an ice bucket. So there must be something where there's a miniature little Playboy bunny girl. Something. Right? So she's in the ice bucket. With a bottle of champagne. And then here's the mansion, I guess, again. And there's the grotto there, which if you're watching this, you probably know all about Playboy. You probably know more about it than I do. But the grotto apparently was like a cave type thing at the Playboy mansion. I wonder what they did with the Playboy mansion. Entertainment for all. I bet that might be something Bally forced them to do. It's like, well, we don't want to. And they're like, oh no, it's entertainment for all. So here's a few more beauties. 4 more here. This one's a little older. That's the granny character, I'm sure. So maybe in the magazine, that character and the little... This character is all over the magazine. Very cool. But that's a really nice back glass, but I'm repeating myself because I already told you that Paul Faris did it. So let me show you some other ones that Paul Faris did. So, a lot of pinball is about the art, and there's been several great artists that worked for many of the companies, but this is one of Paul Faris's first pieces that he did, actually. One of the first solid-state games for Bally was Knight Rider, which is one of my favorites. I don't know if I see his autograph on there. He always signed all of his stuff, but this is one of his that he did. I'm sure it's on there somewhere if I look around enough. So you've got the truck driver, you've got the waitress. We've actually got this hanging up on the wall in our shop. And then just a lot of art showing off the things that light up. You've got the little Smokey and the Bandit reference there. You got the truck driver. Hey, Sugar Britches. You working Wednesday? I'll probably be back up this way. Oh, Frank, you're so funny. It says, putting the hammer down. So that's one of his first ones, and you can see that the style is different. It's more, traditional pinball art. It's more like comical almost. It's almost like comic book art. But you'll also see certain similarities to his later art. So the guy, he's still with us. I mean, he's still probably churning out cool art. So, but this is one of his first ones that I'm aware of, at least, that he did for Bally. So another one that he did in that style is the iconic Evel Knievel back glass, which is kind of the same thing. It's kind of like line art, I would call that, more comic book style, which is what the pinball style was. They said that at some point Bally changed their process to make their back glasses, and if you look, a couple of their artists, including Paul Faris, switched over their style to make it much more photorealistic. So it was just a thing that Bally did after a little while. So he did Evil Knievel, which is, again, that Knight Rider backglass I think is fantastic. This Evil Knievel backglass I think is fantastic. This guy was on top of it. There's some other great artists, so you can't really, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you want to rate him or anything, but I mean, he just did some great stuff. So then he gave us 8-Ball, also known as the biggest selling game of all time, at least at the time. So same thing, the line art, and he's kind of making a Fonz that's not the Fonz so they don't get sued for it, and a Pinky that's not Pinky so they don't get sued for it. Right, and you start to see certain themes. And of course they're playing a pinball machine. And so that's just a classic, legendary backglass. So then we move on to the photorealistic stuff. Or I guess it's not really photorealistic, but it's just a much deeper, I just call it that. It's a much deeper level, right? Bally's Lost World, you've seen us do several of those. Just a ridiculously detailed backglass with a dragon and a chick chained to the dragon and a dude with wings and a sword, and there's a big old weird horse over here. And some of the artwork on this is bananas. Like, this appears to be some kind of thing holding up a woman who's nude, who is either putting a baby into the mouth of a serpent or trying to remove it from the mouth of the serpent. Just, you know, he was very creative. Like I said, he's still with us, so I'm sure he's still very creative. And then Future Spa. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. This is just a really cool game. It was a wide body, and it was used, believe it or not, Bally is the same Bally that owns the Bally Total Fitness centers and stuff. So they were all into, I don't know, I don't understand why, but I guess whoever owned the Bally or people that were involved just wanted to start up gyms and spas and that kind of stuff. So they made this game, Future Spa, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Has great artwork. Now, by this time, he had already done the Playboy backglass that we just looked at. Or it was right around this time. Look at this guy. And his signature is actually right down here. That's a really cool game, though. They just dumped everything into it. It's got about everything you can possibly put in a pinball machine at the time. And then on to Space Invaders. That's right. He was the guy that ripped off the alien from Aliens in some ways. And something went down. The story, I've heard different stories. Some people say they got sued. Other people say that they just made an agreement with the movie Alien to license it or something, or to pay them for each machine sold or something like that. But this is Paul Faris's art, and you can tell, it looks like his art. I don't know if you can see his signature. Yeah, it's right there. So, again, very iconic backglass. And then we moved on to Xenon. His signature is over here somewhere, I think. Just beautiful backglass. Easily one of the best backglasses ever. And, Xenon and Space Invaders, they have the mirrored box thing going on. That's, pretty famous. Then he made Centaur, which is probably the craziest backglass ever. So there is a ogre dude who is also a motorcycle and a Gorgon or something. And a chick is riding the whatever he is. Just, how would you even think of that? But he did. And I don't know what this is down here, but his signature is right there. Right. Okay, so around this time, he kind of finished up at Bally, or I don't know how long he worked for them, but eventually he left. And then he started doing other things for video game companies. He did a lot of stuff with Tissot. So here's one of them. This is a game that didn't even come out in the United States, but it's called World Beach Volley. And so whenever they made a game, they needed box art. And so this is what he did about 1990, 1991, something like that. And so you can see it's a new style again. It's changed a little bit. And kind of cartoony, but again, kind of photorealistic. And I believe his signature did get in here somewhere. Maybe. I thought I saw it. Maybe they airbrushed it out of the box, but that's him. Okay. So he did a bunch of different video game box art. And then back to pinball. Now he's working for Data East. He may have had like his own studio where he could just work for whoever. He may have had something to do with Double Dragon. Some of the art on the poster of Double Dragon or something too. But anyway, this is not just, you're copying movie elements. I mean, there's some art to it, obviously, right? So it kind of almost looks like, I don't know what, I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to try to say how he did it or anything. But, he's got to basically put everything in there. So he's got the Batmobile, and he's got Alfred. I don't even remember who that is. I haven't watched the movie in so long. There's Jack Nicholson, and there's the Joker. And all of this. Very cool. I saw his signature on here somewhere too. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's under the Batmobile. All right, and then this is an interesting one. He did the original translite for the Royal Rumble game. But it wasn't used. This was the prototype translite. And it could have just been that a lot of these wrestlers left the WWE or the WWF at the time and went on to the WCW and stuff, so they kept having to change it because they couldn't put this out. So he put, there's like 15 or 20 people on here. And 2 months later, the odds that all 20 of those people still worked for the WWF at the time was probably low because a bunch of people jumped ship. And I think this was as late as like 1994. April 94 is when Royal Rumble came out. So he probably made this in 93, maybe. And I'd be remiss to not mention that we just lost Hulk Hogan. Hulk just passed away. So we now have lost the Macho Man has passed away. Miss Elizabeth has passed away. Hulk Hogan has passed away. The Ultimate Warrior has passed away. Ric Flair's still with us. The Big Boss Man has passed away. I can't tell who that is. He's got in a headlock there. The Bushwhackers, I believe one of them has passed away. The $1 Million Man is still with us. Mr. Perfect has passed away. Sid Vicious is still with us. Sergeant Slaughter is still with us. The Undertaker is still with us. Davey Boy Smith has passed away. I believe that's Shawn Michaels. He's still with us. Roddy Piper has passed away. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is still with us. Typhoon is still with us, but the Earthquake has passed away. And Bret Hart is still with us. So they weren't passing away that quick back then, although Davey Boy might have. I can't remember when he passed away, but for whatever reason, they changed the translate. So this is the one that it was going to be. You can see how Hulk looked there. And then this is the one that was released. It's actually more photorealistic. That may even, those may actually just be pictures. Yeah, so they may have just used photos, but they did have an artist that did it. So that's interesting. So if you've got a WWF Royal Rumble pinball machine, there's a really cool prototype done by Paul Faris. All right, and then another interesting thing that he did Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for Sega, which was the last little bit of Data East, actually. I think this was kind of like the game when they switched over. And so, again, it's based on a movie like Batman was, and like, you know, basically like the wrestling one was. And so he's drawing a Frankenstein character from the movie. Now, if you know anything about Frankenstein, it's one of my favorite books. Frankenstein is not copyrighted because it's so old. However, the image from Universal Studios of the big, tall, green Frankenstein with a flat top and stitches up on his head and bolts out of his neck, that is copyrighted because it was created by the makeup artist at Universal Studios. So you can't draw Frankenstein to look like that unless you pay Universal. So whenever they made this movie, they just made Frankenstein, you know, in the book it doesn't really describe him that much. It does a little bit and just tells you that he was sewed together from body parts. So you can kind of come up with your own thing. So he did, I mean the movie did, and then he copied it. But then an interesting thing happened. Right around the same exact time, he did this for Sega, which was, I don't know if Sammy was Sega back then. This was released by a company called Sammy that is now owned by Sega, but I don't know if they were owned by them back then. But he made this arcade game called Zombie Raid, and he did the artwork on it. We've had some of these. This is actually a picture of one in our shop here. And on one side of it, he put yet another Frankenstein. So this is kind of like in the middle. It's almost like the Universal Studios one. And I believe I do see a bolt sticking out of his neck. But it's just enough different that maybe he got away with it. Or maybe they got him like whatever they got him with that alien Space Invaders creature, right? But it's interesting that he did two Frankenstein characters basically at the same time. He did the backglass for the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein pinball machine, and then he did this zombie Frankenstein looking character with a hatchet for the side of the Zombie Raid game. So very cool. And but anyway, again, he did this Playboy backglass. One of the greatest artists ever. There's a few of them up there in that top tier, and he's definitely one of them. Okay, so this is inside the Playboy's Playboy. Looks just fine. Let's see. Ooh. You actually don't see them usually with that little piece of cardboard or paper still on it there, so I guess that survived. Nothing looks cut or anything. This is a good test here. This will tell us what we need to know. Sometimes that'll, like if it's been sitting a long time, it'll just be stuck. It's not stuck. Free game. They had the coin door off. I'm not sure why. Joe put it back on. I think that's the wrong button, but it don't really matter. Interesting. That all looks fine. Okay, and then the Varister has never fried. Sometimes you'll get one and the whole sidewall of the cabinet will have a big black smear on it where that thing burn up. But not this one. And then the Playfield is there. Oh, that's kind of interesting. There's nothing really at the top of the Playfield, just a few lights and a few rollover switches until you get down to the pop bumpers. So 3 pop bumpers in the traditional 8-ball setup. 5 drop targets on the right. Bunch of lights and stand-up targets on the left, but you do have that captive ball thing over there. Or I don't know if it's captive because it probably doesn't have, well, I know it doesn't have multi-ball. But I guess it's just a ball kicker, I guess you would call that. The 2 kickers and the 2 flippers. And they've got the flippers turned at 90-degree angles. You usually don't see them like that either. They're usually at like they're done a little different. It's completely irrelevant though, because all that matters is the flipper on the top, and it's just held in place by that shaft, so that flipper plate can be at any angle, and this flipper would still be in the same spot. All right, well, there's really not much to this thing, which I'm sure they thought like that. I'm sure they were thinking, oh, we're gonna sell it on the name. We have to pay all this money for the license. The bill of materials needs to be low. So all they did was put some drop targets, and that's it, really. And instead of putting a saucer that kicks the ball out, there's a little kicker over there that kicks the ball out. And that's it. Everything else is just standard. Three thumpa bumpas, 2 kickers, and 2 flippers. Easy peasy, make the money. All right, so we didn't plug anything in yet. So let me take the back glass back out, and we'll see what the boards look like. That'll tell the story. I don't know why he put the back glass back on, but I mean, he knew we were going to have to take it right back apart. You can see how perfect this back glass is, though. Look at just look at the. So this is the masking layer. The gray light doesn't shine through it. So the rest of it illuminates, but the gray just kind of glows, right? But they have put little areas where the light will shine through. That's the water in the grotto. So that's not damaged. That's how that's made. You can actually see the silkscreen lines there where the different layers of color are. And then you can see how they've left certain parts out so that it has a little watery effect. Alright, so we got to hook it all back up. Oh, and I was talking about how they spent a bunch of money on the license. I don't know what they spent on it or the details of it or anything, but this wasn't the first licensed game. There were actually a lot of licensed games, and at this point they were bringing a lot of them. It was kind of becoming a big thing again. But with that said, on this they're basically paying Playboy for the right to use some of their likenesses. But pinball machines had a long history of one game using something that another game did and paying a little license fee and blah blah blah. And so they were used to licensing. Somebody might design a coin-operated game, and then the guy is wanting somebody to manufacture it, so he licenses it to them, and they pay him a little kickback and all that. So they were already familiar with all that. And there was stuff way back in the day. There was a Trigger horsey ride that Roy Rogers helped them design that was based on his horse Trigger. This is way back in the 50s or the 40s maybe. And in pinball there were even earlier things. I was thinking of one earlier that was an earlier license. But around this time, when all this was going on with Bally, Bally was spending a bunch of money on licenses. So they had, the Kiss pinball was very famous. They did Captain Fantastic, kind of kicked it all back off again in, I think, 1976. So they paid Elton John for that. Wizard, I'm pretty sure they had to pay the Who for that because he's on the back glass. Maybe not, but Gottlieb started it too. They were doing The Incredible Hulk. They did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was actually based on a movie. They did Spider-Man, so they had to pay for all of that, of course. Atari was in the game, so Atari is making a pinball based on Superman pinball. Williams didn't do a bunch of that, actually. Can't think if there's any arcade games that they did that with, though. So I don't know about Williams. They may have not been paying any royalties at the time for for likenesses. But Bally did $6 Million Man. They did. I said Kiss. They did. They did Dolly Parton. They did Bobby Orr's Power Play. That's kind of a unique one. We haven't got that one in yet, but coming soon. All right, so what is this? Oh, there's like a little sticker missing or something. All right, so we got to hook her back up. Let's see here. I don't know why he didn't hook it up. But... Oh, come on. Joe!
What's with the... That's not plugged in. What's with the note? I told you that we wanted details for exactly what Playboy needed done to it.
This disgusts me. Okay. So... What is that? What the hell is that? Should I touch it with my hand? I guess we'll figure it out. Okay, so there's the power supply. It's broke, apparently. Like the... And then the solenoid driver board with the little plastic thing broke off so they can adjust the voltage. I don't blame them. Don't blame them a bit. There's the MPU with the original battery still intact. Hasn't ate up much though. Maybe just a little bit. And then the lamp driver board. I wonder if they... Sometimes I like to see... Do any of the numbers match? I don't know. I guess they wouldn't. So, you know, like here's a number. There's a number. I don't know that they ever match, though. I don't know that I've ever... I have seen where some of these match, the Brady tags. They'll be like sequential. But you would expect that, you know, because it went in for service and they put a tag on all the boards. All right, let me dig the wires out and we'll plug it back up. I'm helping, he says. Oh, I put it together for you. I'm going to save you a bunch of time. Wow. About ready to get... You might have to hook up some wires. Oh. I put the head on the pinball for you. Oh, I gave it a look over. It looks like it's pretty good to me. I left you... All right, people. So I have plugged it in. We're going to give it a go. Everything looks good. I didn't check the fuses. If you've watched our videos, then you already know. But if you haven't, there is a little lamp, little LED here, that does a test routine whenever the game first boots up on a Bally game. That's very helpful. It'll usually tell you exactly what the problem is. What's likely going to happen is that light is going to come on and just stay on. That LED is lit by 12 volts, so it has 12 volts to it. If the board is not running code, if nothing's happening, what will happen is that light will just come on because it has 12 volts. The way the board works is it actually turns the light off. So it blinks on, but it's because the program is allowing it to blink, if that makes any sense. So when the code is properly running, whenever the game is fully booted and everything's running, the LED is off because the game is holding it off. It's turning it off just like it turns off the lamps on the Playfield. So all that to say, when it first comes up, it should light up very quickly just because it's getting 12 volts to it. And then it will immediately turn off, like in a flicker. They actually call it the first flicker. So it'll come up and just, you'll see it for just a second and it's the 12 volts going into it, and then the reset segment of the board turns on the MPU, and as soon as it turns on the CPU, as soon as it turns on the CPU, it will turn off that lamp, that LED. It'll say, wait a minute here, who told you to turn on? You turn your butt off. And it turns it off, right? So then it starts, the CPU starts checking the code in the EEPROMs. Now, keep in mind, though, that it had to already be reading the code a little bit for the 12 volts to come on. So it program to know to turn off the LED, right? So it starts running the code. It starts checking the code in the ROMs, and if it likes what it finds, it goes, "Let me tell this guy, let me tell Ronnie that the EPROMs are fine," and it flashes the LED one time, click, and then it turns it back off, and it says, "Hey, next up, I think I'm going to check and see if this RAM chip works. Let's see if the RAM works." And so it writes like 26,000 numbers into the RAM one at a time and then reads them back one at a time. So it says, "Hey, in address 3, put the number 1. And then it says, "Let me check and see what's in address 3. Oh, the number 1's in there." And it just keeps going, and it does this like 26,000 times, 50,000 times, something like that. But it takes like 2 seconds. And whenever it finds all of that to its likelihood, that it likes it, it goes, "Oh, hey, let me tell Ronnie that the RAM's fine." Flashes the LED a second time. And then it says, "Let me check this other RAM out down here, the one that saves all of the high scores and everything, the 5101. Does the same thing. Checks it all out, and if it likes it, it tells me by flashing the light the third time. So then it says, well, we need to make sure that our peripheral interface adapters are all working, which control the solenoids and the displays and everything. So let me try talking to them and see if they talk back. And so it tries that with this. And if it passes, it says, "Hey, that one's fine," and it flashes the light a fourth time, just to send me a little signal that the PIA chip right here on the board is just fine. Okay, and then it says, "Well, we got another one, Let's check this one." Now, this is actually the one that is that has been being used to flash the little LED, but it checks it, and then if it likes it, it flashes it a fifth time. And then the sixth one has something to do with like some timing or something. It's basically this little 555 chip here and the capacitor around it and all that. It's like a little, it has something to do with the timing. I don't completely understand it. But if all of that's good, it says, "Hey, that part you don't understand, it's good, don't worry about it," and it flashes the light the sixth time. You hardly ever have a problem with that part of it. And then the seventh chip is the zero crossing detector. The seventh flash is the zero crossing detector. And so it needs a solenoid voltage of 43 volts on one of the pins of the connector there that goes to a chip, and it's divided in half and all this stuff. And it has to do with the machine using the zero crossing line. So they figured out if they turn the lamps on and off near the zero crossing of the AC, well, it's actually DC, but right when it's near zero, that it's less strain on the bulbs and less strain on all this stuff. And so it's just how they designed it, right? So they need that solenoid voltage to be present in the machine for the lamps and everything to work right. So if it checks that, it says, "Hey, everything's cool." It flashes a seventh time, and then it turns the LED off. Now when it turns it off, usually it leaves it and it's glowing just a little bit because it's not at zero, it's at like 1 volt or something. So you can see a little bit of a glow on it. But if it's a properly working machine, that's how it should do. So we don't know if this power supply is creating all of the voltages that it needs. We don't know if this solenoid driver board is using this voltage regulator to turn that voltage into 5 volts. We don't know if the board is actually getting the 5 volts through that connector or if the connector has some corrosion on it from this battery damage. We don't know if the reset area of the board is still working. We don't know if all of these chips are making good contact with their socket because they all look pretty oxidized. Like again, the very first thing it has to do is read these ROMs and look at the legs of them. So the chances that it'll boot up are very low. Probably, for it to fully boot, chances are about 5%. For it to blink once or twice, chances are about 25%. For the light to just be locked on, chances are 50%. And for the light to not even come on because there's no 12 volts getting to the board, chances are about whatever's left. So here we go. So we want a flicker and 7 flashes, but my guess is it will just lock on solid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 5%er. Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? The damn thing's running. Unbelievable. Keith, I thought it was in worse shape than that. Very cool. It doesn't look like there's any controlled lamps on the Playfield, but all of that is doable. And it has a soundboard in a Playboy. I got this. Will it start or something? Let's see. We got here the soundboard. I mean, I know I played my music earlier, but I didn't plug the speaker in. Let me reach my hand down in there where I can get shocked. There it is. Well, we have volume. Well, let's try. I mean, I'm not expecting much. It's 1978 Bally soundboard. But it would be cool if it had some kind of little tone or something that played. So if you go into service, one is all the lamps flash. None of them are working. Two is all of the displays work. Three is all the coils. And four is Is that a Playboy theme? Is there a Playboy theme song? That sounds like it's trying to play it. I think that's the same melody. Fascinating. All right, so there you go, folks. So we looked it over. We learned a little bit about Paul Faris. We learned that there's a theme song. The thing appears to be working. It just needs worked on. And we'll jump into it next time. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below and let us know what you think. Don't you agree with me that Bally was just killing it around this time? 1974 to 1982, Bally was on a hell of a run. And this game looks like it's going to be very fun. I've been wanting to work on one of these for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below. Now, if you want to see us work on one of these Night Riders that I've been saying that I liked, which was one of Paul Faris's first backglasses, check this video out. We'll see you back here next time with the next installment on this Playboy.